Almost 2 years ago, I came up with an idea for a new Life is Strange game. Today, with the help of Raining Roses and ladysouja, that whole idea has been illustrated. So, in remembrance of what would be 10 years since the storm arrived in Arcadia Bay, here's our pitch for what happens next in the lovingly lavish legacy of Life is Strange. Caniac. Episode 1, Epiphany, opens with a midnight establishing shot of our new protagonist, Darcy Andrews, the mischievous and motivated leader of her team of troublemakers. The player takes control of her as she slowly approaches a convenience store. While this is happening, dialogue plays through her head. Different voices are heard discussing a plan to rob the place. Characters argue about how and why they're doing it, but Darcy's voice silences them all. The player is then prompted with the choice of either giving an inspiring speech about her team being more like a family to her, or making Darcy tell her whole team to shut up and follow her orders, because her plans always work. Right off the bat, literally in the introduction, player choice matters. The player decides what kind of leader Darcy is going to be. Empathetic, sociopathic, or maybe even a bit of both. But since this is internal dialogue from the past, technically it's establishing who she is before the game even starts. And don't worry, this won't just be a good or evil choice-based game. Remember, she's about to rob a store. Anyway, the team rallies with Darcy in her head just as she reaches the front door. But before opening it, she puts in her earbuds, pulls out her phone, and the player is prompted to push the designated superpower button. Darcy does the iconic hand reach the series is known for and hits the play button with her other hand, and the song that plays is Junk by Destroy Boys. Yes, it's a punk rock song, and yes, there will be indie music later on. I think the music in Life is Strange could be used for more than just establishing shots. Instead, why not have the music begin with a darker and harsher soundtrack that gradually shifts into a lighter, softer tone as the story progresses, as a way of meeting different story beats, letting the music tell a story. It could totally work here. Anyway, Darcy reaches her hand out and collapses to the ground. We have close-up shots of her body while a flickering light shines over her, with the credits appearing over different things as the camera slowly enters the store. When all of a sudden, her soul emerges inside the store. That's right, Darcy's Life is Strange superpower is astral projection, the ability to separate one's soul from their body. Darcy's body is immobile when she uses this power, hence her collapsing. The player takes control of Darcy's soul inside the convenience store, where she sees her team of misfits, each playing a different role in the heist. Ilara screams that she saw someone pass out in front of the store, prompting the store clerk to panic and check to see what happened. Trey pretends to be a disgruntled customer, telling the clerk to hurry up. He's doing this to distract the clerk from the fact that Lucas is stuffing snacks in his bag at the back corner of the store. The team planned things out so that they'd be the only customers there on a day where only one employee was working. The only problem is, they got the work schedules mixed up, so there is another employee there who comes out of the back room to see what's going on. But before he turns the corner to catch Lucas, bags of chips fall in front of him to slow him down. As the player will soon learn, Darcy's soul can interact with objects around her without anybody seeing her. So it's the player's job to mess around with the store and distract both store clerks so that the heist goes smoothly. This gives the player a chance to understand how Darcy's power works through gameplay rather than just a bunch of text explaining it. The player can try to move whatever they want in the store, but they'll see that Darcy's soul can only move small objects, pretty much anything under 5 pounds. She'll phase right through anything heavier. Ultimately, there are 3 outcomes for this opening heist. Either A, Darcy doesn't distract well enough, causing Lucas to get spotted stealing, leading to an altercation and the team having to retreat, without getting everything they needed. B, Darcy's soul makes too much noise, causing the store clerk checking on her body outside to come back in and tell everyone to leave. Lucas doesn't get spotted this time, but the team still didn't get everything they needed. Or C, Darcy's soul does just the right amount of distracting that the team gets what they want, and no one gets spotted. Either way, Darcy's soul reaches her hand out and returns to her body. The team gets out, they hop into Trey's car, and either celebrate or panic. Trey worries about camera footage, but Ilara mentions the neighborhood is too poor to afford working cameras, meaning those cameras we saw during the credits are fake. Darcy asks Lucas if he got everything, and we smash cut to a shot of Lucas pouring out the food from his bag, and the team reacting based on what transpired in the store. In Darcy's apartment, the team talks about their next move. Lucas, being arrogant and hot-headed, exclaims that they should just keep the food for themselves. Trey, being neurotic and worrisome, disagrees and wants them to get rid of the evidence. But Ilara, being dicey and forceful, tells Darcy they should throw a party with some people in the neighborhood. The player is then prompted to pick Lucas's plan, Trey's plan, Ilara's plan, or Darcy's plan. Yes, Darcy will have her own plan too. Her plan is to give all the food to the homeless in the neighborhood. The player's choice determines what kind of person Darcy will be, adding bits of dialogue for later segments, as well as who Darcy can potentially romance. Yeah, you can date your teammates in this, and you can even cheat on them. But of course, these actions will have consequences, leading to a different team dynamic whenever the team is together in later episodes. After Darcy makes a decision on what to do, we transition back to the convenience store, now with the police car outside. The two clerks tell an officer what happened. When they mention floating bags of chips, the officer uses his walkie-talkie to tell his partner, who's been waiting in the car this whole time, to come inside. The car door opens and out comes our second playable character, Officer Vanessa Flores, relative of Agent Maria Flores from Life is Strange 2. The player is given control of her as she walks inside the store to investigate. After asking for their names, the player can ask questions about anything they want to while investigating, and Vanessa will take notes. After the two officers finish their investigation, they return to the vehicle. Her partner, Officer Ken Blanche, asks if she believes them, to which Vanessa responds with, "I'll believe it when I see it." The player is then prompted to push the designated superpower button, and suddenly, the game is in first person, from one of the store clerk's perspectives. Confused? Vanessa's power is clairvoyance, or more specifically, remote viewing. Basically, she can see and hear from other people's perspective as long as she knows their name and face. She can't control what the person does, she's just taking a back seat inside their head. This may not seem useful, but she uses this ability to see and hear the conversation between the two clerks once they think the cops are gone. Fortunately, the clerks don't say anything inconsistent with the investigation, so the cops leave. So, if you haven't noticed, this would be the first Life is Strange game with two superpowered characters, each acting as a foil to the other. Darcy's an outlaw with the intrusive power of astral projection, while Vanessa's an officer of the law with the passive power of clairvoyance. We return to Darcy and the gang, doing whatever plan the player chose. If they go with Trey's plan to return the food, they'll just be repacking it. While doing that, Darcy tells the team they should come up with a name. Until now, they've just been calling themselves the team, but Darcy wants something more official. So, conversations start, and the player is given different name options based on the conversation. This name will carry on through the rest of the game. After deciding, Darcy makes a plan for where the gang can steal from next, and together they choose Bear Station, the gas station from Life is Strange 2. We stylishly transition back to the apartment where the player assigns roles to everyone on the team. Sure, the strategy is the same, but this time the player decides on who does what. Who panics about Darcy's fallen body, who acts as the disgruntled customer, and who steals the food. Nobody wants to be the one who steals the food. After the plan is made, Darcy can chat with each member for a bit. Extra conversation routes will be available for whoever she sided with previously. All the conversations have the other teammates ask Darcy if she's okay after using her powers for so long. They can even ask questions about her powers that might be on their mind. The next morning, we follow Vanessa as she submits her police report about powered individuals to the chief of police. She claims that she has reports of a man with telekinesis, a girl who can control fire, a woman who can read minds, a man who can turn invisible, and a woman who can teleport. Think about it, no one would really know what Max's power is. And before you say it, yes, I know Rachel is dead, but still, the police report would exist. The chief of police finally gives her approval to investigate further, and she rejoices. We go back to Darcy and the gang, and they're chilling around the neighborhood. Here, the player can explore and interact with different people in the area, and if you think this is just a cheap and easy way to world build, you're wrong, because Darcy encourages the team to form alibis for where they'd be on the night of their next heist. It makes sense for them to be social butterflies. Anyway, they socialize and Vanessa does research on the whereabouts of the previous protagonists. Night falls and Vanessa leaves her apartment to get some coffee. On her way out, she bumps into Darcy and her gang. They all have a confrontational dialogue and go their separate ways. Darcy and the gang get to Bear Station and begin their heist to the tune of Dip by THC. But everything goes horribly. Whoever the player chose to steal the snacks gets shot by Hank, and Doris locks the doors and alerts the police. The gang gets arrested. Each member is interrogated by Ken and Vanessa. During Darcy's interrogation, Vanessa asks to be alone with her. She starts questioning whether or not Darcy has powers, to which Darcy completely denies. After Vanessa leaves, Darcy puts her head on the table and reaches her hand out. The player can then explore the police station as Darcy's soul to see what's going on. While exploring, Darcy will find a handcuff key and Vanessa's files on powered individuals around the world. She'll slide the key along the floor to avoid suspicion and bring it into the interrogation room. After freeing herself and returning to her body, she'll do the same for her teammates, who will then make a break for it. On their way out though, Darcy will steal Vanessa's files. The team will regroup outside Darcy's apartment for one last time, because as of today, they're wanted criminals. Darcy hatches a plan to find the powered individuals so she and her team can make the world their bit busboy. They get in Trey's car and drive away, but then we zoom out from Trey's perspective and see that Vanessa was using her powers to see and hear their plan the whole time. So now, both Darcy and Vanessa are on a hunt for the previous protagonists for different reasons, and that is how I'd end episode 1. Now, I have plenty of ideas for episodes 2 and 3. Yes, there'd only be 3 episodes, so we could avoid all that padding, but I'll save that for another time. Or, alternatively, in the off chance that someone working on the Life is Strange franchise sees this, maybe I could use my idea for the next game. I don't know what the future holds, but what I do know is that you should totally follow me on my social medias, but especially Twitch if you want to see me live stream. I stream every single week, so be sure to follow. Speaking of which, please go follow both Raining Roses and ladysouja. Their contributions to this video were amazing, and working with them was literally a dream come true. And the compositions for the scenes were all their idea. So please show them some love. I've had so many ideas for my own stories, but could never figure out how to actually make something of them. Sure, analyzing shows and movies can be fun, but what if we could create our own shows and movies? Just a thought. And if you want more thoughts, be sure to check out the Junior and Marcus Talk podcast, where we talk about just about anything. Yeah, we'll be back. Be sure to check out the merch store for some new designs and hopefully some more down the road. And Discord. The links to everything I just mentioned will be in the description. So, what did you think of our idea for Life is Strange 4? And hey, if you have any ideas, go ahead and comment them. I'd like to see what you come up with too. Until then, I'll leave you with this.